day to you all. I have a Patrol, a very new Y62. Fresh off the lot, look how shiny everything is under here. It's brand new, basically because it is brand new. We are going to do the KM Sports Muffler Mid today, and we're going to couple that up with a set of our secondary cat delete pipes. So I'm just going to go through and undo all of this. They're all very tight, it's all very new, it's all very nice. So we've got 2 bolts up here, a couple of hangers back here. I'm going to remove this hanger here, bolt to the back of our cat pipes, hanger over here, cat pipes come out, undo our O2s. I'm going to get all that out and we'll do some explanations and some comparisons. Now, when we're removing the muffler assembly, this big bulky unit, what we're going to do is we're going to undo these 2 up here. They're a 16mm. Come down here, there's 2 13mm that retain this hanger. This bracket will also go soon too. On the back of your cat converters, there's another 2 16mm bolts. They come out. Now, all that's holding this in right now is this rubber hanger here, which I'll release in just a second. And then up here, we have another 2 hangers. We're going to spray them up really nicely with some lubricant, some WD or Inox, or whatever your flavor may be. And I'm going to drop it from this end down. What will happen is when I release this front hanger over here, these will sit neatly in this heat shield here. This heat shield is rock solid, and we can actually let the whole exhaust hang on there, and that's going to allow me to get this exhaust out by myself without any other assistance. You can also do this on the ground if you're doing this at home. A little bit difficult, but you can get under here and do this as well. The installation of the new part's considerably easier, it's a lot lighter, and it's in 2 pieces, so it won't be as much work involved. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this down now. Hello! Okay, so like I say, I've undone that hanger. These hangers I've just got loose up here. By loose I mean they're still really tight. They're just on the edge. Okay, release the tailpipe. There's going to be a gasket that comes at you, little tin one, you can fall on the floor. Now this will pivot off those bits there. God, it's heavy. Good Lord, there's some weight in this. See, just up your GVM. Right, now this is where a lot of our sound is going to come from, and a lot of our flow as well. If you have a look at the back of our cat converter, it is a 2.5-inch outlet. This is our gasket for it. You can see it matches nicely with that, 2.5 inches. Let's take this as our template over here and have a look at our mid-muffler assembly. The big thing is they reduced the pipe size right here. Now if you can see this ring around here, that is the 2.5-inch meeting a 2-inch face with a small 2-inch hole. So that's the size of our outlet of our cat pipe. And you can see the restriction, noisy truck going past. You can see the restriction that's opposed by that. You can also see how small this little pipe is here. It's actually next down to about 1 7/8". So this little piece here is really small, and same on this side. Underneath these heat shields, that's a really small pipe. It actually reduces from 2-inch down to 1 7/8". Now, why do they do this? That's a good question. They do this because it ups the temperature of your catalytic converter. Because there's a reduction of flow, it's just going to make those cats work more efficiently. So when they're getting this vehicle through emissions, and the targets they have, especially for European countries, this thing looks fantastic on paper. But that is not great for flow and powers and whatnot. You can remember this is a big engine, and it's trying to breathe through that little tiny pipe. So our new system is going to be 2.5 inches all the way through there, which matches your cat pipes. In this case, we're doing cat delete pipes. They'll also be 2.5 inches. This is our side-by-side comparison. For the most of it, this is about the same size. These are inch and 3/4. That's got it on my brain. This part here is 2 3/4 of an inch, which is your tailpipe is as well. This piece here is 3 inches, so it's a little bit bigger flow there. The middle, our muffler is a straight through. The pathway is literally offset through the muffler, straight through, perforated. Dual packed muffler, so it's got stainless steel wrapping the perforated tube, and then it has what we call rock wool, which is a highly absorbent material, knocks out a lot of sound, and also deals with temperature for longevity. So really nicely built muffler, fully seam welded, really nice bit of kit. Of course, we make it. Up here we merge the two pipes together. That's that hanger that gets replaced. And this is a big part of it up here. You can see ours is 2.5 inches. So there's a flex in it. Whereas this one here is quite small. I can actually, this is the two-piece part, so just grab this little fellow here. Just grab this little fellow here. There we go. And put him over next to this one. Straight away we can see a big size difference there. So with more flow is more go, and also more volume. Before we get to installing that, we're going to remove these. These are our secondary cat converters. You also have your primary manifold cats, which is these fellows up in here. So this is our flange at the back of it. This is it up in here. It's quite a large unit, and it is built into the exhaust manifold. So that all stays there, keeps your warranty happy, and keeps your emissions controls and all that happy. So we're going to undo these bolts. There's two 16mm on the back of the manifolds. This is your O2 sensor. It is a big shifter or a 22mm spanner. Just undo him. You can leave the wire connected. There's enough length in it for it to undo. And then we are pretty much ready to pull these out. I'll show you them as a side-by-side comparison with our KM cat delete pipes, and we will come back in with our new systems. They're undone. O2 sensor is out. Took him off those studs. Wrangle him out. You can see why you want to have the rest of the exhaust out of the way. These little fellows, they come out the back. You don't really want to do that with the rest of the exhaust in. If you do already have our exhaust fitted up, you can add secondary cat delete pipes, and that is slightly easier because our pipe that goes from passenger side to driver side is removable, which allows you to get this fellow out, and this side's not so bad. You can just push the exhaust up, it'll come on out. So let's go over to the floor. We'll have a quick look at what these are, how they work, and what we're going to replace them with. These are the secondary cat pipes. Pretty basic stuff, really. They are a little bit on the small side. What's that, about 2 inches? We're going to step that out to 2.5 inches. And of course, they've got a rather large cat converter in them. That's what a cat converter looks like if you haven't seen one. It is a core made up of all sorts of weird and wonderful metals, and they are in a ceramic body. So basically your exhaust gases pass through there, your precious metals that are in a catalytic converter heat up rather quickly, and then they burn off all your emissions. So, and as you can see, like, the pipe works pretty clean. Oops, stay still little fella. So if I rub my finger in here, yeah, for a big petrol engine, that's pretty clean. So yes, they're obviously doing their job quite nicely. So here's our side-by-side comparison. Much larger pipe size, it's going to flow much nicer. This is coming out of the header. Basically, it is just a piece of pipe. It's not much more simple than that. Opens it up, allows a lot more flow to come through. We have these on here. These are what we call a cat stopper. These are going to trick your computer into thinking everything is still okay. This is your secondary O2 sensor. He is here to monitor your cat converter. If he sees a difference in flow, whether it be too much flow or too little flow, he'll bring on your check engine light and say, hey, there's something wrong. We are going to be greatly increasing the flow, which your little computer's going to go, oh my God, something's going terribly wrong. This little fellow here, in the end of it, is a piece of catalyst material. Let's just unscrew him real quick so that he still has a small amount of sniffing ability. See it in there? Where are we? Zoom! So it has a small amount of sniffing ability, and it also spaces it out of the flow correctly so that the computer still thinks that everything is totally cool. So if you can imagine how much that is spacing it out of the flow path to pretty much nothing, that is how restrictive a catalytic converter is. If we can move this that far out of the path to make it work again correctly, it's a big difference. So we're going to fit these up. This is how they come. They come packaged, obviously. These are just out of the packaging. You'll get new gaskets and new bolts. We won't use the bolts on this end because of this one has studs on it. I believe the earlier model doesn't have studs as bolts. We still does a universal, so if you've got, you know, one of the earlier Y62s, it's all just the same. New bolts and gaskets for the back. Normally when we put the mid muffler assembly in, we'll reuse all the bolts and gaskets, but they're a thread in this part here. The bolt goes through from this side into this one, whereas we now need to have a nut. So that's the change there. Nothing too major. All right, I'm gonna get all of this stuff magically into the car. Just quickly before we bolt up the rest of our goodies, that's the inside of your primary cat converters, which is actually a more condensed and heavier core than your secondary cat converters. And it's this whole body here, so see the size of my hand, comes all the way up the front here. It's quite a large unit, and it is one piece with your exhaust manifold. Right, for fit up, we're going to need some anti-seize. It's going to go on all our bolts and on our O2 where it screws into the cat stopper. And then we're going to put silicone on our gaskets, just a thin smears to wet the face. It's going to seal up nicely. We are using a proper high temperature one, which you can just get from any of your automotive shops. You can see here with the gasket just sitting up here on the back of the manifold cat converter arrangement, the inner hole in this actually tapers out nicely to 2.5 inches, which just makes this a nice, neat flowing setup. That is our cat deletes fitted up. It's time for the system. Alright, I just got it in loosely. So this piece here is bolted just loose. This is that new bracket we're going to have here. Just simplifies the system. It also allows this system to work between this, the 2021, and then the previous models. The only difference in your exhaust is actually this hanger. Up here, these are just in loosely with the original tin gasket back in there, and the hangers are on. I'm going to put some silicone on this joint here, bolt it up to here, add a hanger back over here, and then we can go through and tension the whole thing up once it's all in place. Wow! The sequence for tensioning your bolts are, start with your two here, come on down here, we're going to do up this fellow, then we're going to do up this fellow, then we're going to do up this fellow, and then very last, we'll do this one. Okay, these are our parts we've removed. I'll just put the bolts and the stock gaskets back in these. These you want to keep on the shelf just in case you want to put them back in. The muffler you can probably throw in the bin. No one's going to miss that fellow. Keep your secondary cats. Over here, we're all done. There we go. Sports mid muffler assembly. All in and done. Bolted up nicely. Cat stoppers are in. Cat delete pipes are in. Bolted up. Voila. Very cool. Now, two big questions I always get asked is heat. Actually, it's me, one question. But two spots. One is to the motor here, and the other one is to these lines over here. As you can see, we've got a massive air gap, so we've got no heat issues over here, and all these heat shields stay in place. Because we've removed the large cat converter, which heats up dramatically, this pipe is not going to get very hot at all anymore, so we don't need a heat shield. There's plenty of flow there, and it'll be nice. The other one is this motor here. Now, you'll notice our exhaust dips down considerably. We've dipped it down to remove any heat sources from up here, nice large air gap, and we've also increased the flow. That restriction here generated a large amount of heat, and that's why there was a heat shield here originally. Because we've increased the flow, dropped the heat, given it an air gap, not an issue. We've also dropped it here, not only for that section over there, we don't want to cook our pinion seal on the output shaft of our gearbox. So that is the other point there. So they're the two ones that people worry about. Just want to sort of spell them out right now. More flow reduces the amount of heat in your exhaust. Pretty simple stuff there. Yeah, we're all bolted up. I guess it's time to listen to it. Rock on! Alright, well, thanks for watching, guys. I will catch you on the next one.